Alright, so somebody asked how you would basically accomplish something like this. In a symmetrical way, take the shoulder straps of a piece of armor and expand them outwards. Again, symmetrically without, affecting the entire rest of the armor. So there's actually two really easy ways to do that. I'm going to show you in Maya. Same basic principle should apply in Blender if you want to use it. CAD, no idea, not my thing. So the first thing you can do, if your mesh is symmetrical, which mine is, this is like the Nova chest plate that I made a while and a half ago, but you can actually use soft select to do this. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that I have symmetry turned on, so just go up here. If it's turned off, set it to, I usually just use Object X, I find that works pretty well. And again, this option is only if your mesh is symmetrical. And the topology is exactly the same. If it's not, this isn't going to work, but if it is, it should work pretty decently. So I'm just going to go right-click on my model. I like working with vert, so I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to sort of select the vertices on the area that I want to expand. Marquee selecting, nothing super fancy. You'll notice that when I select them on one side of the model, because symmetry is turned on and my model is actually symmetrical, it is selecting them on the other side as well. So now what I'm going to do is press and hold B as in boy, press it, you don't need to hold it. And you can see that as I do that, I'll toggle it on and off really quick, that when I press B, it's putting this sort of gradient-y, glowy effect on my mesh. Basically what that's going to do is drag not only the vertices that you selected, but some of the other surrounding ones to help get a little bit of a softer selection. So if I turn that off and I just move these, you can see that they are indeed moving away from each other symmetrically, but the mesh looks quite awful. So I'm just, again, pressing and holding B, and that's going to turn on soft select. And now when I move these, you can see that it is pulling these apart without doing too much damage to the mesh down here. If you want to, you can modify the fall-off radius of this, so if I... What is it? Yes, okay, so press and hold B, and then click with your middle mouse button, and you can drag back and forth, and you can see that that is going to modify the radius of effect for the soft selection. So now if I do this, you can see that it's not pulling as much of this piece of the armor around. If you want to, you can also double-click on your move settings over here, or your move tool. If you double-click it, it'll pull up the tool settings for it. And there is a little drop-down for soft selection, and you can then go ahead in there and modify the fall-off radius as well, or, the fall-off curve, or all of these other things. How it displays, lots of options. Usually I don't play with them too much beyond the fall-off radius. But you can see, so here is the armor that I just modified versus the original armor, and you can see that I have, moved the shoulders apart without destroying the bottom half of the model. So that's, again, if your model has the same geometry on each side. If it does not, you maybe buy it from, like, online or somewhere, or it's just not a symmetrical model, you still need to do the same thing. There is another way to do it, it's just, in my opinion, a little bit clunkier. So first, select your object, go up to your Deform menu, and then go and do a Lattice Deformer. And you'll probably have to open up your tool settings, and I've found that 10 works pretty decently. I may have, this is the second run through of me recording this, so 10 divisions works pretty well. But basically you just apply that, and it's going to throw this ungodly box of terror on your mesh. Just for the sake of argument, if I set this to 5, set that to 5 and apply that, you can see that there's just less divisions. So 10 just gives you a little bit more to work with in this case. There we go. Alright. Haha. Undo till you have what you want. So symmetry will also work on, if you right-click on this lattice deformer, it's also going to work on these little lattice points here. So incidentally, we'll soft select. So I'm going to turn soft select off, and you can see that again, if I select dots on the right, it's going to also select them on the left, and now I can drag these apart. And it's doing more or less the same thing where it's only going to affect the vertices within this sort of area that you've selected. So if I turn on soft select on these, if I wanted to, I could get a little bit of a softer drag there. But in this case, what I'm going to do is probably just go on the side and maybe do something like grab these, shrugs, and again, since symmetry is turned on, I can just shift these apart and it's going to do pretty much the same thing. And then if you wanted to, you can get in and do some like really weird stuff like this. I don't really know why you'd want to do that, but you could. But this is usually how I make, if I just need to like pull certain parts of armor just like a little bit apart, This is usually how I would do it if you need to add some really like wonky, like a chick version of this. I have no idea, but this is the other way to do that. And then once you're done and happy with your changes, which I'm going to say that I am, just go up to Edit, Delete by Type, and History, and that will freeze the mesh data where it is and get rid of all of the extra like lattice deformer stuff. So again, here's the original, and you can see the changes that we've made. Very questionable changes. So that is that is 2 ways to modify our model. Hopefully that helps. Yay.